Move on, and the subject is Ukraine, but of course if we're talking Ukraine we have to talk money, so let's pop Jeremy Hunt on screen. Apologies for that.
Well, the only way that we can make life better for families who are working very hard and feeling that they are in a cost of living crisis, the like of which they haven't seen for many, many years, is to get the economy growing sustainably. And that means you have to bring down inflation. And that's why the Prime Minister's main pledge at the start of this year was to halve inflation. He has more than delivered that. Once you do that, once you do the hard work to squeeze inflation out of the system, you can start looking forward to the kind of growth that will see people's wages going up. On top of which, when we can, we want to bring down the tax burden so that people keep more of the money that they earn every month.
So there's the Christmas fairy by the tree. He's telling you that all these nice politicians want to do is to tax you less, bring inflation down so that you have more money to spend, when the reality is, of course, they're going to spend more of your money on wars. So let's have a look at what he's also been saying. This is back in April, but he was boasting about $1 billion, and that was the phrase that the UK government used. $1 billion of budget support we've committed to Ukraine this year will ensure that the country has the financing to keep the lights on, hospitals running, and my goodness, they need those for the injured, and the schools open. This, alongside UK military support, will help defeat Putin. So from Jeremy Hunt, it's really all about wars, except when he stands in front of the Christmas tree. He said, but our efforts for a fairer world don't end there. We're also making good on our G7 presidency commitments and delivering a multi-billion-pound package of support to reduce poverty and bolster energy security across developing countries. So he's really a very nice chap. He's working with other very nice politicians, and they get up in the morning simply to make the world a fairer place. And what better way to do that than to pump money, your money, into Ukraine to keep that vicious war going and the deaths and the casualties increasing. So what can we say about the war in Ukraine at the moment? Well, if we believe the Ukrainian side, it's just getting better and better. This is the Kyiv Post reporting that Ukraine's air defences are to get, quote, beefier, because Zelensky, in a major speech, announced that he's apparently to get more Patriot ground-to-air systems soon. But if you look at that website for the Kyiv Post, at the top of it is this banner headline, supposedly of Russia's losses. Troops that the Russians have apparently lost, according to the Ukrainians, 349,190. But if this is reality, Ukraine must have lost the same. My belief is that these are grossly inflated and erroneous figures in order to keep the West believing that Ukraine can fight the war. But here's Zelensky's comments. We're expecting another Patriot system from there. He's referring to Germany. And that is a very important decision for us. We understand how it will help us, and we know where we will deploy it in a region that is every day fighting for its life against Russian air attacks. So not too optimistic when you look at his actual words. There have been serious discussions with partners, and the quantity, I won't say exactly how many for new Patriot systems to come to Ukraine to defend our country. This is a very important result, but I promise not to make public the quantity that will come to defend use. The reality is that he's hardly getting any of these systems, and the ones that he's got don't really work. We're looking at too few Patriots. In fact, they're very old systems and they can't function against the latest Russian missile systems, and they're coming too late. So this is all looking sad for Zelensky. But if we look at who's produced the report, I just want to emphasize here, it becomes very unclear as to whether you're getting a true Ukrainian opinion. The journalist concerned, Stefan Korshak, is from Houston, Texas, and he's a Yalie. He went to Yale, and he's also worked for the OSCE. So is he giving the genuine Ukrainian view, or is he giving the view that the West wants to hear? I leave that up to you. But even the BBC is had to admit that the war is now not going well for the Ukrainians. Kyiv forced to cut military operations as foreign aid dries up. here's the bulk of the report, and it's saying that there's a problem everywhere with EU and US money. The US Congress has blocked 60 billion. Hungary has also blocked EU's 50 billion. And on top of that, Ukraine is facing an ammunition shortage. Well, here's a report which is getting to the reality of it, because although I've chosen a Russian source, this is indeed the case that Ukraine is now saying they need to mobilize another 500,000 Ukrainians. Why is that? Well, they've already lost 2 armies to date. And the important thing here is this is going to include old men and women. So what can we tell you about the battlefield? I'm very pleased to be able to quote social media reporters who've been reporting very accurately since the start of the war. So this is military summary. The focus here is on Beefier, which is highly fortified Russian city just outside the main Donbass area, I'll put it that way. This is encircled by Russian forces, as you can see by the pink, but a lot of Ukrainian troops being drawn here for what's effectively another Bakhmut. But if we look at the social media reports, the end of Krinky, near collapse, advancing Russian threat, complete annihilation, and defense politics down here talking about the noose tightening. So the reality is that Ukrainian is losing this war increasingly quickly as the money and the ammunition runs out. Well, let's bring you back on screen, Charles, and